Welcome to Live From Your Heart. I'm your host, Les Paul Klein. For 3 decades of my life, I've lived trying to get others' approval, not the truth. I lived to be accepted, but I wasn't real authentic. And what did it cost me? Pieces of myself over and over. I didn't realize I was even losing those pieces. This podcast, it's for anyone who knows deep down that they've been living someone else's version of their life. And they're ready, you're ready to come home to your own heart and be real and be authentic. Doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter how long you've been doing this. It's possible to reclaim your own heart. So every week we're going to talk about reclaiming that identity and healing old patterns and finding courage again and finally living from the truest and most grounded place inside of you, your heart. This isn't therapy. It's not self-help. It's just a real huge invitation for you to come and learn how to live a real life from your own heart. So let's jump in. I made a conscious decision to stop pretending. And I'll have to frame it in this way so that you can grasp my thought. It was courage, but it wasn't loud. It was quiet. But I chose not to pretend anymore. I was no longer Leslie Paul, the uh, boy named after a girl. Now I'm Les Paul, the man who has lowered his mask and he's living from his own heart. That's tough for a lot of people to accept that I did that. Hey, this is Les Paul. Welcome to another installment on Live From Your Heart podcast. If you followed along with the episodes, one kind of different, I'm kind of new to this. A year from now, it could look completely different in how I'm tying them together. But right now, this is what God has put in front of me, and I'm putting in front of you. Good, bad, indifferent. It is what it is. I don't care if one person hears it or 100,000 people hear it. I was compelled to live from my heart. Now I've been compelled to tell you a story about how to live from my heart. And I've had many people ask me, can you teach me how to get out? So I do that. Today, we're talking about courage. Courage, as I said, is choosing not to pretend. So I took my mask off. I didn't pretend anymore. I didn't pretend to be a preacher anymore. Pretend to be that preacher boy that my parents called me to do. The wrath of my parents was heavy. And I will say this, that, don't take this the wrong way, things, but perhaps it was a blessing for my father that he never really grasped my decisions because he had a stroke and he was never himself again. My mother did. I don't know that she really embraced it. She accepted it because she couldn't change it. But anytime I visited her in her little church in Slayton, Texas, where she lived out the rest of her life after Dad passed, She always wanted me to sing. She had an inroad with the preacher, so I always had to sing if I was there. And I have a niece that's the pianist at that church, and so we always had a good time. I always did it for courage. Courage. Here's what it looks like. It starts with a small yes. Did I know I was taking my mask off when I did? Not really. I didn't really know what it meant. I just knew that I didn't like the pattern that I created. I didn't want to be in that culture. Began asked me about this. It'd been coming to our church for a short period of time. Early time, I started this church. The musician about him. He just said about service. He said, "Tell me why you use a different version of the Bible." And in those days, I used the New King James. Hey, look, that was a transition for me because the old King James was all I had to believe was real and true. And this guy had a New American Standard. And we talked about various scriptures. And I looked at this guy, his name is Bob. He was actually a real new believer. And his wife wasn't yet a believer. And I said, "You know, Bob, I really don't have an argument for why I have to use this one version." I said, "I could give you the pitch that I've been given, but I don't think it's going to matter in the end." Truthfully, it didn't. It doesn't. But that was a small yes of courage in my world. Look, I know some of you are going, "Really? Look, you didn't know what I came from." Remember, fundamental independent Baptist, legalism. Hey, my mother didn't wear a pair of pants until my dad didn't pastor a church. She wore a skirt all the time off. I was never allowed to even wear a pair of shorts. Yes, you heard me say it. Yeah. Okay? Courage is a small yes. It's a small no again. It may just be one honest sentence, and for me, that's how it had to start. Because my entire lure over time was completely dismantled. It had a huge impact on that trip, 2 cents. And I'll be honest with you, they didn't recover. And one of them has never recovered. And one of them has recovered. But one honest sentence from me and a boundary. They set those boundaries, even though they were small. That's what courage began, how it began in my world. This may feel a little fragmented. I mean, I pop back and forth, but um, it was scary because I didn't know what would happen next. And it was really scary. There was a moment in my life where I reflected backward, and a ministry opportunity was in front of me some years after this all took place. And I was a volunteer of a singles ministry that I actually launched and started my Connex Farms with. And the body of the church offered me a staff position. And I said, one caveat, I'll do this, but I don't want to pay it. I keep my full-time job and my business. I don't want to tie this to money, which was a wise decision. Coach, boundaries. I know. So here's something that I want you to grasp. How do we misunderstand courage? Yeah, we think it's dramatic. We think it has to have drama, it doesn't. We think it's bold, it doesn't have to be. We think it requires confidence. Well, it doesn't. Just move forward. Courage just means yes and no. Okay. Uh, and it doesn't have to be big. We wouldn't have to make a big place collect for it. You know, a lot of people do. That real courage is not loud. It's quiet. It's kind of like you could have a neighbor or someone that you're connected to that has served in special acts in the military. These guys are quiet and serene. I've been a part of special ops support community in the Moses Wall here I was active in a community, and I met a bunch of special ops guys unassuming by its courage. So those guys had courage, larger than life, that it would never assume that's who they were. Well, that's real courage. Real courage is from heart, okay? It comes from the truth that you begin to uncover and you begin to see. It comes from alignment of your own heart. It comes from being safe to do so. And I stress that emphatically. You can't have courage in an unsafe environment. You can't be who you really are and live from your own heart if you're around people in a culture that's nothing but judge you. You can't survive in that culture. Okay? We won't. It comes from within your own truth, your own desire to align, okay, with your head and your heart. Ask yourself the question when you get silent. And this is what starts, guys. Silence. As John Elden just put it in recent years, it's the pause. There's a pause app you can get free. You don't have to buy one. And all those purchase apps, this is free. It's called Pause. It's super good. There's a lot of parts to it these days. It continues to grow, but the bottom line is pause. Push pause. Yes, sir. Courage comes from listening. It comes from your truth. It comes from you being safe to face it. You have to have a safe environment to do it. And you have to practice this. Yeah? You've got to true. I choose truth over the mud hole thing, the comfort. Let me help you understand what I mean by the mud hole. I've used this illustration 1,000 times, but I raised pigs, show pigs. It was one of my 4-H projects running. And I always raised Yorkshires. They're white, purebreds. Beautiful white. But did you know that the whitest pig could get the dirtiest and the stinkiest as soon as you turn him back into the mud hole after you cleaned him up and washed him and put like baby powder and showed him in the shower? You put him back in the spoon. What does he go? He goes, well, I was in the mud. That's what we do. It's comfort. Why do we keep going back to him? Oh, it's comfort. And we know what to expect. We know it could be bad. You hide. Do we keep hiding behind the mask? What I talked about in the last podcast because it's comfortable. Right? The unknown requires courage. Some of you are being faced with being courageous. You're being faced with living from a love. And you think about that. You're going to have to choose the truth because it says, or
no matter what comfort. Okay? If you're going to live for more, there's a price. Okay? It's going to cost you some comfort to live in truth. And you're going to have to choose alignment. It's very hard over other people's approval. Ooh, that lands pretty good. Yeah. A lot of people can't live without others approved. They've got to be approved. They need the accolades. Look at Facebook. People in the everyday that need your accolades. They want your emojis. They want your love comments, your like comments, your raw comments. They live for that. That's why they're there. That's what drives them forward. I think Facebook was a good thing in the very beginning. I think it's just, it just always, I use it to connect to people and to get my story out. And I try to avoid it otherwise. And answering people if I ask questions. There's not a lot of scorn going these days, as they say. Courage must have truth. Courage must have alignment. Hey, if you're ready to be courageous and pull the mask down, you come join my channel. Come join the journey of living from the own. It's a journey, folks. Are you ready for the journey? It will cost. It will cost. But if you keep going back to the mud hole, if you keep pretending to be someone you want to, if you keep doing the things you know you shouldn't do, living in the environment you're in, staying in a relationship you shouldn't be in, and courage is quiet. There are there is a link in my show notes that would connect you to me. If you want to have a conversation, click the link. It gives you access to me. You can send me a message. I'll send you a name. We could set up a phone conversation or Zoom, whatever you're comfortable. But I can tell you this, until you get help to stay out of the mud hole, you're probably going to keep going on getting in it. So, Jimmy, it's quiet. Quietly move with courage to reclaim your heart and your life. Let me just encourage you to live from your heart. Again, click the link in the show notes to reach me. Be happy to help, because that's what I do. I help people every day in randomly reclaim their identity. They can take off their masks and have courage to worship. Reach out if I can help you. I'll be here to do so. Have a really blessed day. I'll see you again on the next podcast. If today's episode stirred something in you, that's your heart speaking. If you're ready to go deeper into this work, let me invite you to come and join me in my Live From Your Heart coaching experience. It's a 6-month journey. I can take you back to the truth, help you learn your real identity, and uncover that emotional freedom that's yours to have. If you'd like to know more about my coaching experience, Live From Your Heart, you'll find the link down in the show notes. Until next time, folks, live from your heart. It's the only life that's truly yours.